The U.S. government and mainstream media remain mostly silent as growing Fukushima radiation levels hit the California coastline. Hey folks, Bond here. Now, we all remember the magnitude 9.0 earthquake that struck Japan back in 2011. It made the news. It was a horrific event, and it caused a 15-meter tsunami, as you may remember, that flooded out many areas of Japan and disabled the power supply at the Fukushima nuclear power plant. Then the power plant, unable to cool itself, had 3 reactors pretty much shut down, causing a nuclear accident at this plant back on March 11th. And, you know, this made the news, all over the news, actually, and they scrambled around for days. And, sort of after a while, even though they admitted this was, a major disaster that may take years to clean up, it sort of faded out of the news. And most of us know they've been trying to contain this radioactivity ever since. What you may not know is that the situation is now out of control. The spiraling containment effort is failing in Japan, and, leave it to the Japanese, one of the most secretive governments in the world, to not really divulge the seriousness of the situation. In fact, Japan is known to be probably one of the least concerned out of the whole world as far as the health of our oceans and the species that inhabit it. As you know, they continue to violate whaling sanctions imposed on them. Illegal whaling has gone on out of Japan for years, decades, and, shark fin soup, another Japan favorite, so certainly known to not be too concerned about the environment. Now, the media is simply ignoring this almost altogether. If you watch the daily news, a lot of the mainstream news are not even talking about the fact that our Pacific oceans are now being poisoned by the rate of about 300 plus tons of radioactive water being dumped every day into our oceans. And the levels of radioactivity this thing is putting out are rising, not lowering. So to give you an idea of what we're talking about here, they have a unit of measurement they use to calculate the amount of radiation that's being emanated, and it's called a sievert. So basically 1 sievert is pretty much the max acceptable level for a human being to be able to absorb. Astronauts that go out into space are allowed basically 1 sievert, to show that they're haven't exceeded that level. 5 sieverts is pretty much death within around 5 days for any living thing, including human beings. So anything much over or at 5 sieverts, and you're toast, and probably going to die within a matter of days. The measurement that they are admitting to lately coming out of the Fukushima is leveled at about 530 sieverts, which is about 525 sieverts more than what kills you. So we're also hearing reactor 2 could be at around 650 sieverts. And when you look at the fact that they're sending in robots to examine the damage within these reactors, because obviously humans can't get anywhere near, these robots are rated, that they send in, to withstand up to 1,000 sieverts, and yet they are failing, usually within a matter of minutes, as they're sent in to these hot zones. So that would lead you to maybe believe that we could be at levels as high as 1,000 or more sieverts. So the radiation levels at Fukushima are so high that obviously no human can go in to try and assess the damage or get anywhere near the thing, really. So they send in these high-tech robots. They've sent in 7 robots designed to handle 1,000 sieverts of radioactive measurement. 1,000 sieverts. Now, according to them, we're only at about 500 to 600 sieverts, and these robots are failing. We've now lost 7. They send them in. They try to investigate what's going on inside of these nuclear facilities. They send in the robot and the camera, and these things are literally failing and melting down because the radioactive activity is so high, makes you think it could easily be over 1,000 sieverts. Unfortunately, our oceans are becoming toxic because of this situation. We can go back just over the last 60 days and find massive ocean and bird kills that are unexplained. Let's go back January 23rd. Massive fish die-off in France. Then you go January 25th. Millions of sardines come up dead in Chile. February 3rd, just about a week later, thousands of dead jellyfish wash up on the coast of Australia. About a week later, February 12th, 350 dead whales off the coast of New Zealand. February 13th, the following day, thousands of fish wash ashore in Colombia. February 17th, tens of thousands of dead fish wash up along the Kulula coast in Australia, stretched miles along the beach. And then just about a day or so within that, February 16th, 30 tons of dead fish washed up and found in Costa Rica. So what does this mean for us here in the United States if our oceans become toxic, much less for people around the world? Not to mention the sea life all dies out and the water becomes unswimmable, possibly. Maybe you can't even get within a few miles or more of the oceans someday in the near future. What does that really do to our real estate values across the country and across the world? 50% of all the people in America live along coastlines. Much of our largest cities and largest metropolitan areas are built along our coasts. Even here in Southern California, what does it mean for all the coastal communities and people that live and thrive along the coastlines? I think it's safe to say that there's certainly been a disconnect between our lives and the world around us as we get more and more tuned in to our cell phones and our computers and all of the electronic equipment that's now in our cars and in our kitchens. We get less and less aware of what's happening with our own planet, or possibly what we might be doing to it. And the death or toxifying of our oceans could literally be the beginning of the end of the earth as we know it. One thing for sure, the mainstream media won't be talking much about this in the near future, so you can rely on us here at the Bond Factor to bring you the real deal. So that's going to do it. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. Be safe.